drawing a picture of a redwood tree. And to draw our picture, we're going to be using linear perspective. This is only an introduction into linear perspective. So we're not going to be going into all the rules, but I've already began by placing a vanishing point on my picture in the upper right-hand corner. Now I'm going to need to draw my orthogonals, the lines that recede back to that vanishing point. These lines are going to be the sides of my redwood tree. My first line is going to start over on the edge of my paper. I'm going to go ahead and put a dot over on the edge. Notice it's about middle or just below the middle of the left edge of my paper. Now let's go down to the bottom of my paper. And this line is going to be about in the middle of the bottom side of my paper. So I'm going to put a dot there on the tape that I have holding my paper down. I'm going to draw a line from these dots going back to my vanishing point. Since this is the edge of my tree, I'm going to let my lines shake or wobble a little bit to get some texture of bark. I'm going to stop a little bit prior to my dot. And I did that so that I can draw the top of my tree. And now the top of my tree is just going to round over that dot. So now I've drawn my two orthogonals back to my vanishing point. Notice the tree gets smaller and smaller as it gets closer to the top. That's getting further away from us. So that's using size to show that distance or depth in my picture. Now we're going to draw the arms of the tree or the branches of the tree. So I'm going to start out on the right side of my tree and I'm going to put a dot here and I'm going to go up about 3 fingers widths for a second one. This branch is going to go off my paper. So my lines are going to go diagonally towards the edge of my paper and they're going to go off. And this line is going to go up towards the edge of my paper and off. There's one branch of my tree. If I want, I can add a smaller branch coming off of this one. And this branch is going to also go off my paper. Let's add a branch to this side of the tree. Again, it's going to be a triangle shape and it's going to be reaching towards the top of my paper. I let my line kind of wobble. I'm going to leave this open at the top. And I'm leaving it open so that I can create a Y shape. For a second branch. If I want to add another branch to this one, I can add another one. Notice my branches always start wider than they end. They're always kind of a triangle shape. And we're going to draw one last branch up near the top of our tree. This one is going to be a really skinny one because it's so far away. And let's have it Y at the end as well. So now we have our tree trunk and we have 3 tree branches. Let's add our leaves to the tree. I'm going to start right here with a cloud line that goes off the edge. Again, I'm going to have a cloud line that comes up. Notice the curved parts of my cloud lines are pretty large right now. Let's go ahead and start with a little cloud line around this smaller branch here, and then we'll do a much bigger one. So this cloud line goes off the side and this one goes off the top of my paper. We'll go ahead and we'll add one around this set of branches. Notice I'm having some overlapping here. These leaves go behind these leaves, so my line stops right there. I have one more set of cloud lines to add for the leaves that are at the very top of my redwood tree. And I'm going to make these curved parts small because they're so much farther away. These again stop when I get to these points because they go behind. These leaves overlap these leaves. All right, and now I can add a few more cloud lines to give some more texture to my leaves. And that can add some interesting parts to my tree. I could also add some lines for bark on my redwood. Don't want to add too much at the top because that's so far away I can't really see that texture. I know it's there, but I can't see it. Okay, so now the drawing of our redwood tree is complete and it's time to add color. So I'm going to be using pastels to color my picture today. You can use any coloring material you have available. You could even use paint or something else that might be fun and interesting. I've got out a couple different groups of color. I have some blues, I have some greens, I have some browns, and a little yellow and a red. So these are my groupings of color. I'm going to be doing a lot of layering of color on my picture so that my picture has a lot of depth. If you want to create depth in your picture, you should have multiple colors. So I've started out with my basic brown. Now notice I have a light brown and a dark brown as well. I'm going to pick one side of my tree for my dark brown and one side of my tree for my light or my yellow. I'm going to put a dark at the bottom of my branches. Okay, so now I have a dark side and a light side to my tree and my branches. I brought a red as well, and I'm going to use a green too. Now, the red is going to give my colors more depth and my tree more variation. And by adding in the green, I'm going to be mixing red and green. Red and green are complementary colors. And when you mix two complementary colors, you usually get a brown or a gray. So that's perfect for my tree. I'm coloring in a circular pattern. That's going to give me a texture. Now I'm not done. I'm going to add in some more circles with my little bit of a darker green. And I'm going to add a third and a fourth green. Now I'm finished coloring in my leaves. If I went outside the lines, sometimes I make that look purposeful. It's time for me to work on my sky. So just like I did each time, I'm going to start out with my lightest color. Now I'm going to come back with a second blue and layer on top. And then I have a darker blue, which I'm going to kind of fill in just the edge. My perspective tree is finished. Since I have tape on it, when I peel the tape away, I'll have a really nice border. So here is my completed perspective tree. I hope you guys enjoy creating this today, and I'll see you again next time.